Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today, I got a top 100 deck for you. Super excited about it. I think we're going to have some fun. So we're going to talk about the main board. We'll talk about the sideboard. We'll pull those both together in our best of 3 how-to, and then we'll go play some competitive Magic here. Today, I'm taking advantage of FNM or Friday Night Magic at Home Historic All Access. So we're going to go play 3 best of 1 games today instead of doing the best of 1 and best of 3. Now, quickly, Planeswalkers, before we check out the deck, I just want to say thank you. As always, I appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. Additionally, I have my Untapped profile down below so you guys can track my Mythic journey, and I have the companion app available down there for you as well. And lastly, Planeswalkers, other ways to support the channel down below in the description. Feel free to become a patron or also become a YouTube member down over there. Always appreciate the support. Now, Planeswalkers, let's go ahead and check out the deck that we have today. This top 100 deck that we have is a Selesnya Fauna Shaman deck. So based off of our friend Fauna Shaman here. So this deck list is available for you down below in the description. You have access to it right away. Additionally, the deck link is down there, so you can do that as well. Now, unfortunately, and this is why I'm loving the Friday night access, I have 14 rares and 1 mythic that I need to craft here, and that's going to suck up a lot of my stuff. So very excited about this, and this way we can test it out for you today and see if it's worth it. Now, this particular deck is a Selesnya deck, so that is both green and white, or forest and plains, to give us the Selesnya clan from, or guild from Ravnica. And then additionally, it is a Fauna Shaman deck because it revolves primarily around this particular card here. So what this creature does is it's an elf shaman. We can pay 1 and tap it. We discard a creature card. We can search our library for a creature card, then reveal it and put it into our hand, then shuffle our library. So we have a lot of things that we can go pull and lots of things that we can utilize here, and we'll talk about all these different pieces in a minute. So very excited to play this one, but it's really kind of a, I'll say, mid-rangey, aggro to mid-rangey deck given what we have here, and things to keep in mind. But again, like I said, we'll come back and talk about that all in a second. So quickly, we'll do our fast fly over here so you guys can see the deck in its totality, and then additionally, Planeswalkers, we'll come back and we'll talk about each of these pieces together. All right, and there's what we got going on. Now, first off, we got Giant Killer here. This is from Throne of Eldraine. It's a human peasant. It's got an adventure. We can destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, or as a 1/2, we can also tap target creature. We got good old Landlore Elves here for good old mana pump, where we can add 1 mana. We got Charming Prince, so all of these one-offs are going to be very important. That's why you also have this to go pull. Charming Prince here, when Charming Prince enters battlefield, we can scry 2, gain 3 life, or exile another target creature we own. Return to the battlefield under our control at the beginning of the next end step. We got good old Containment Priest here. So here, this creature has flash. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, we can exile it instead. So very fast play. We can tap, discard, pull, go grab Containment Priest, pop that in. Shepherd of the Flock, same thing. We can play its adventure. We can usher to safety. We can return target permanent we control to its owner's hand, or have the 3/1. Then we got good old Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, or Thraben here. And it's got first strike, and non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast with our opponents. We have good old Explorer. We can play an additional land this turn and draw a card. Then we got Fauna Shaman, like I talked about. As you're seeing some of these cards play out, lots of things that we can do. So it's going to be a lot of muscle memory here for the deck. So trackers are always nice to use to kind of help there. Then we got Scavenging Ooze. So here, Scavenging Ooze, again, Scooze, one of my favorite cards. We can exile a target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, we can put a +1/+1 counter on it, and Ooze and we also gain 1 life. Then we got Skyclave Apparition, one of my favorite cards from Zendikar Rising, here again in the white. When it enters the battlefield, we can exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent we don't control with converted mana cost 4 or less. And then when it leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates an XX blue illusion creature token, where X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card. Then we got Kazendu Mammoth. So this is our mortal land again from Zendikar Rising. So here this creature has landfall. We can give it +2/+2, or it will get +2/+2 when a land enters, or it can be a land that enters in tapped. Then we have good old Knight of Autumn. So again, another powerful card that we can pull if we need a situation. This creature enters, we can put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or gain 4 life. We also got Yasharn here. So Yasharn is very important in Historic here. When it enters the battlefield, we can thin our deck by finding a forest and a basic plains, reveal those, put them in our hand, shuffle our library. But the key one here is players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. So very, very important there. As that shuts a lot of stuff down, like the sack decks. Then we have Angel of Sanctions. So this is a good old one from Amonkhet Remastered here. This creature's got flying. When it enters the battlefield, we may exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until this creature leaves the battlefield. And then it's got Embalm, where we can pull it back, pay the cost, exile the card from the graveyard, and then return it as a copy, except it's no mana cost and is a zombie in addition. Then we got the awesome Elder Gargaroth here from M21. It's a Vigilance Reacher with Trample. Whenever it attacks or blocks, we can create a 3/3 green beast creature token. We gain 3 life and we draw a card. And then we also have Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves. So when Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves, enters the battlefield, we're going to create Voja, Friend to Elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. Then whenever a wolf enters the battlefield under our control, we gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to 1 target creature we don't control. And then lastly here, we got a modal land, Emeria Shattered Skyclave. So here this can enter as a land. We can pay 3 and it won't be tapped, or it can enter untapped. Or last but not least, a good finishing card here. We can create 2 4/4 White Angel Warrior tokens with flying. Non-angel creatures we control gain indestructible until our next turn. So very, very powerful here. And then again, in terms of land, we got the modals. We got good old cards from Ixalan here, where this one enters the battlefield tapped unless we control a forest or a plains. And then additionally, Temple Garden for those shock lands. So lots of powerful things. Fauna Shaman is going to give us a lot of options. We can go dig for exactly what we need, which is going to be very, very powerful. So that, my friends, is the main board. Let's go ahead and talk about the sideboard, and then we'll talk about how we pull these together for our best of 3 matches. And then we'll go play some best of 1 in Friday Night Magic. All right, so first off, we got Shaper's Sanctuary. So this is a pretty cool card. It's an enchantment from Ixalan. Whenever a creature we control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, we may draw a card. Where would I play this? I would play this against burn decks. I'd play this against direct kill spell decks. I also like it against things like Rakdos Arcanus. You could consider Dimir control at times, some ones that you may want to play here. Additionally, some other ones that you may want to run it against. In particular, let me think. You could do it against mono black control as well, as a thought. So anything that's really trying to target your creatures, pull things off the board, you're gonna want to play this. Then we got good old Baffling End here. So when Baffling End enters the battlefield, we exile target creature and opponent controls with convert mana cost 3 or less. And then when it leaves, they get a 3/3 dinosaur creature token with trample. So I would play this against against the rogues decks is great. You can play this against mono red. You can aggro. You can play this against gobos. You can play this against Aura's decks. You can play this against Rakdos Sacrifice, Jun Sack, I would play it against Gruul aggro. You could play it against Neostorm because you want to get the creatures off the board. You could play it against Rakdos Arcanus. You could play it against Mono White Life Gain as well, or even Mono Blue Temple. So lots of places that you can play that one. Then we have good old Hushbringer. So Hushbringer is a flying lifelinker. Creatures entering the battlefield or dying don't cause abilities to trigger. I particularly like this against goblins. It's going to stop a lot of different actions. You got to be careful though if you play this. You don't want to play this against like Sultai midrange. It's going to let Euro stick on the board. So keep that in mind. It also lets Croxus stick on the board. So you're really going to want to play this against sack decks too. That will shut those things down too. Then we get Archon of Emeria. So here, flying. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Non-basic lands our opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. Very powerful against non-basic land decks, absolutely, but really it's about the doubling up as well. So a good one here is also goblins. They're not going to be able to cast multiple goblin spells or multiple muxuses. Any form of control deck this works out nicely on once you get this on the board as well. And again, anything like Elves that's trying to cheat in a bunch of stuff, these are all really, really good things. This also shuts down the one that I just did with the combo deck. This will shut down combo decks too. And that is the Paradox Engine deck that you guys can check out as well. And the other one that works well against is Aura's decks. Then we got Vivian, Champion of the Wild. So this card was again from War of the Spark. So I shouldn't say again, but War of the Spark. Here we may cast creature spells as though they had flash until our next turn. Up to one target creature gains vigilance and reach, and then -2 we can look at the top 3 cards of our library, exile one face down, put the rest on our bottom in library of any order for as long as it remains exiled. We may look at it and at that card, and we may cast it if it's a creature spell. So I like this one against aggro decks. I like it against mid-rangey creature decks. Here, again, we get that ability to flash creatures in so we can respond quickly. And again, we can also make better use of Fauna Shaman as well. So very, very good spot there. Good against creature-based decks. And it can help you cheat against some control decks if you want as well. Then next we got Linvala, Keeper of Silence here. So flying, activate abilities of creatures our opponent's control can't be activated. So very, very important. Again, shuts down a bunch of decks. So, you know, again, things that are activated abilities, something like a Scavenging Ooze, this is going to shut that down. And it's not a mana base or non-mana base as well. So just keep that in mind. It's very, very important here. Lots of places that you could play this one too. And we got Yasharn, we talked about this already, really good against the sack decks, Jund Sack, Rakdos, those kinds of things. Then we got Carnage Tyrant. So here, Trample, Hexproof, the spell can't be countered. I like it against control decks, late game decks. As you can see, it can't be countered. Partnered with good old Vivian, you can flash it and finish a matchup really, really nicely. That's a good one. And then last but not least here, we have Realm Cloaked Giant. So this is destroy all non-giant creatures for sorcery adventure cast or a 7/7 Vigilancer. So you're going to play this against probably token gen decks. You could play it against mono green. You could play it against mono red. Anything that's going wide or building a ton of bodies really fast. Realm Cloaked Giant isn't going to be a bad one to have. Just again, the getting to 5 rather quickly, but you should be able to in terms of controlling the board. Now, again, what you'll see is all these minus a few key cards are one-offs. And that's so you can go specifically grab them with Fauna Shaman if you need. And then additionally, you know, obviously to help plug up some of the things in your deck, particularly to help you out with the match. So Planeswalkers, quickly, I'll talk about it in terms of an aggro sideboard. I'll talk about it in terms of mid-range and then in terms of a late game. So aggro-y, you're going to be more creature focused here. So Baffling End's going to help. Hushbringer may be something. Archon of Emeria might be something. Potentially Vivian or potentially Realm Cloaked. And maybe even Linvala, depending on what the deck is. So I'll do 6. and where I would cut in particular, let's see how many lands we got. You guys know I like that. 22, 24 plus 27. You could be a little bit risky and cut 2 lands if you wanted to. I would look to cut Elder Gargaroth, and then additionally, in terms of Yasharn, if you're not necessarily playing a sack deck, you could pull here. I like to keep a lot of these options open. The lower end is fairly aggressive in terms of helping you against most aggro decks. You just want to make sure that you get the right things to respond to the appropriate cards to kind of really lock down and control the board. So that's where I would look to make some of those cuts. Again, from my perspective. Next, when you move into more of the mid-range, these are going to be kind of some bigger creatures at times, as well as a blend of some form of control deck or combo decks. So here, what you're going to maybe want, again, is potentially Baffling End. If they're not real creature heavy, you're probably going to want Shaper Sanctuary. So I would think about those two. You might want Archon of Emeria, you might want Vivian, Linvala, again, depending on what you're playing. So let's go 5 to 6. What I would look at, and we could consider some of the Rakdos sack decks as really kind of being a mid-range deck. They do take a little bit longer to get going, or even Rakdos Arcanist at times. I would consider, in this situation, potentially Containment Priests if they're not cheating in anything. You could keep these. You're probably going to want Skoos. Giant Killer you might want to get rid of, to be honest. And then I would look to potentially Skyclave Apparition. You're probably still going to want, because you're going to hit anything that they may be using in the combo, anything that they may be still that's 4 of. If they're not at keeping anything at 4 permanent cost on the board, then you could always swap this one out. Same thing of Night of Autumn. You may want to look at that one in terms of some of these one-offs that you may switch in. And then again, Yasharn, if they aren't playing that sack piece, I would begin to leave some of the higher end stuff here against the mid-range. And then again, you could always move some lands. So that gives you a good healthy 6, I think, pretty easily. And then now when we move to the late game, these are going to be more of like the UW Gandalf control decks that just won. You guys can check out that one I did. It could be some bigger creatures potentially as well. It could be, again, more of a control late game deck like Mono White Prison as well. It takes a little bit longer to get going. Maybe sometimes you can consider a combo if you consider 5 turns a late game. For Historic, that is kind of a late game depending on what's happening. But here, you're probably not going to run Baffling End. You may want to run Shaper Sanctuary if they're Sultai control kind of a thing, or Sultai midrange. And again, this Sultai midrange would have been in that middle space too. Shaper Sanctuary could be something. Maybe Hushbringer, depending on what they're playing. Maybe Vivian, maybe Linvala, maybe Yasharn. Definitely probably going to want Carnage Tyrant in there. Probably not Realm Cloak. Again, this is more aggro to mid-range. So I'll say like 4 to 6 again here. Where I would look to make cuts, I would cut Giant Killer, and then I would cut towards the front end here on things that you may not need, which would probably be something like Containment Priest. Charming Prince, you could take a second look at if you want. I like the ability to bring it in and flash something out if you need that. Tulsimir, Friend of Wolves, you may not need. Elder Gargaroth, I still like. Skyclave Apparition is something you could absolutely look at again too. So you're essentially shifting the front end of your deck towards more of a mid-rangey late game, response. So Planeswalkers, that is the deck in its totality. That is the sideboard. That is kind of the how to bring these two together for our best 3 matches. Again, deck lists are available for you down below in the description, so you have access to it right away. If you got questions or comments, feel free to let me know. Always happy to respond. And then additionally, Planeswalkers, you can hop in the Discord server and hang out with us too. So we're going to go play this in Friday Night Magic today, and we're going to play some best of 1 matches. So really, really looking forward to it. Again, you can keep these things in mind as we talked about in terms of how we would play our best of 3. And there's the Simic Paradox Engine one I just did. You guys should absolutely check that out. It's so nice to see all these things that we can make playable. So Selesnya Fauna Shaman. We'll go done. Oop, didn't select it. Submit deck. And we're off Planeswalkers. Super pumped about this. I love when we do something different. Saves me a little bit on the craft, saves you guys a little bit of opportunity as well. And we still get to have fun with the decks. And Planeswalkers, before we decide if we're going to keep this hand against Looper, I just want to say thank you. As always, I appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. Other ways to support the channel down below in the description. You can always become a patron or feel free to become a YouTube member. Lots of great benefits and ways to interact with everyone here. So we go first. I'm going to keep this even though we didn't get Fauna, so we'll give it a shot. I do like getting Thalia down, and I like having this turn 3, so we'll keep this. I'm actually going to play this first, because then we can play this next turn, because that's a forest and a plains. And that will give us Thalia. And we'll make things more expensive for our opponents to cast here. So let's do this. Let's scry 2. I'm gonna do that. Now I kept that because I can use my Skyclave on most of the stuff here against this deck. So here's how we slow down the ramp. And next turn we can actually drop an Elder Gargaroth. So we have lethal next turn. So here's the thing. If we didn't play the Elder Gargaroth, we again would have had lethal.
Let us begin.
But good news is I don't think we can hit that. We'll see. Let's see, 4. I think we're in the clear. Either way. We will draw a card. There we go. Very, very efficient Selesnya deck. We didn't even get to play Fauna, so hopefully we can hit it here. We got 2 more matches to check out. And I think we should, I'll at least make it worth your while, then we'll get it once. So let's see here. Oh, that was pretty interesting. And the historic matches tend to be pretty fast, for sure. Particularly in best of 1, they're usually pretty quick. Alright, Lodos War it is. Here we go. We got Fauna, we're first, we'll keep it. So the trick is going to be deciding maybe what I want to go find here. Oh, I think I'm gonna play this. So if I pull a creature, here we go. This is a good one to have, but we need to do something else. Well, actually, let's cancel it. I'm doing this for the thinning. Now we could go grab Shepherd, bounce this back, and then exile Bolas if we wanted to. But now we don't have it. Now we get Shepherd though. How much is it? 5? Take action. Alright, so we're sitting on lethal. Boom! We did it! We did it! So a couple different things that we could have done there. It worked out really nice. 2-0 in best of 1. So we can go back and talk a little bit about how we would board there. The second one, again, was more of a mid-range deck, so let's claim the prize that one. Let's go to the next one. So again, a couple of different things that we would do there. You could change some of your one-offs as well. Alright, so here we go. Fauna again, we'll keep this. Uh-oh. Now here is where we are going to start discarding stuff. There. Oh, we didn't need to. I'm going to get rid of this first. Alright, so here's how we play this one. We can do this. All right, we're on lethal. Still on lethal. All right. So here's how we will clinch it. Oh, maybe not lethal. What do we want? Actually, let's grab that one. See, because if I would have taken the one, I would not have gotten enough through. That's why I didn't do that. But now I can gain 3 life if I block. Gain 3 life. Oh, didn't matter. Forgot that trigger. Well, we're good. Boom! Alright. Forgot the trigger. Gotta be paying attention, my friends. But we still pulled off. So very, very solid deck here. We won 3 in a row in best of 1 with this. Really, really nice. You know, kind of mid-rangey ramp. You know, worked well in the early game, which was nice. So let's go ahead and check it out again. This, my friends, was the top 100 Selesnya Fauna deck. All the decks that we played. So we'll talk a little bit about the sideboarding here in a second. But Planeswalkers, this deck list is available for you down below in the description, so you have access to it right away. If you got questions or comments, let me know. So what we have here in terms of sideboard against those particular... The control deck, you could have played Shape or Sanctuary if they were blowing stuff off the board. We also, against the last deck there, the Dinosaurs deck, Baffling End would have been nice. Hushbringer would have been nice too. It would have not allowed those triggers to go off and deal the damage to ourselves. It did hurt them more. Archon of Emeria could have worked. Vivian of Champions could have worked. Linvala could have helped. Carnage Tyrant could have been something against some of the late game. Realm Cloak could have been against something against the Dinosaur deck as well. So lots of great things that we could have moved in and flipped around. This deck obviously did really, really nice as a main board too, which is perfect to see going from the best of 1 to the best of 3 as well. So Planeswalkers, hope you guys enjoyed it. Really, really like this deck. This I would definitely consider in terms of craft because it just ran really, really well for us in the best of 1 today. Lastly, Planeswalkers, as always, a huge thank you. I really appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. Other ways to support the channel down below in the description. Feel free to become a patron. Would love to see that interaction with you as well as a YouTube member. Love other ways to connect and provide value for you too. Last but not least, Planeswalkers, I may have missed it. So quick call out to Little Beep here. Little Beep was the one that made this deck into what it is and into the top 100 as far as I'm aware. Definitely on the top 100 side. So congratulations there. Planeswalkers, until next time, you stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Really looking forward to this. Enjoy your FNM. Glad we're able to get through some of these things. All right, Planeswalkers, until next time, Mythras out. Take care.